Welcome to a new episode of the Cartridge Club, where we discuss our game of the month with members of the Cartridge Club community. This month on the show, we are talking about the sim-building action platformer for the Super Nintendo, Actraiser. Joining me on the show, we have Chris, the OldAssRetroGamer, Brian from the Gothsicles, Nefarious Wes, Tom and Laci from DoYouNerd, and Captain Algebra. If you have played along, you can always share your own experiences in the forums at cartridgeclub.org or in our community's Discord or across social media by using the hashtag Cartridge Club. Before I start the show, on behalf of the entire Cartridge Club community, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon backers like Joe Boyce, Buried on Mars, Christopher Rohr, Dean Lasagna, and Caleb J. Ross. To our backers and Patreon supporters, thank you. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter for the Cartridge Club, please look in how you can do so at patreon.com/Cartridge Club. So, Chris, why did you choose Actraiser for the Cartridge Club Game of the Month?
I picked Actraiser because I consider it my favorite game of all time. Back when I was getting Nintendo powers as a little kid, I remember reading like a blurb in some section that was talking about games that were coming from Japan, and I would usually just skim over those sections, and the one that they had for Actraiser in this one specific issue made a real case for the fact that the music in the game is going to sound like a real symphonic score. And I'm like a huge classical music, film score, video game music fan, even back when I was a kid. And that kind of like piqued my interest. So that put that basically on the top of my list of games that I wanted for my Super Nintendo. And I actually bought a Super Nintendo so I could play it. And it did not let me down. I liked the fact that the game had the two different play styles, and the music kind of blew me away. It didn't sound like anything I'd heard from a video game at that point in time. And it repeatedly made me want to come back and play it again and again because of the different play styles and everything. So if I think a game has that much replayability in my eyes, it puts it like higher up on my list of favorite games. And it's a game that I come back to decades down the road now, over and over again. So that's why I picked it, because I thought it'd be fun to talk about.
So how soon after would you say it getting released on the Super Nintendo did you jump out and buy a Super Nintendo?
Probably day after.
Wow.
I remember telling my mom, I need you to take me to the mall right now. The game came out today. Sorry, gotta work, son. So I had to wait till the next day, and I wasn't happy about it, but whatever. But at least I bought it with my own money instead of having to rely on the folks, because I did have a job at that point. Just didn't have enough money to buy a car, but I had enough money to buy a game.
Always.
So, yeah. And I played it, I think I want to say, for 5 months straight once I got it, like over and over again.
Brian, what are your overall thoughts on the game here?
Hi, my name's Brian from a bunch of stuff. Thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast, because Chris, on my appearances on your show, we've always had these weird little moments. I swear to the master, I know exactly the mini Nintendo Power article you're talking about, because it had the same effect on me too. Because I remember being like, all right, I see a guy with a platform and a sword. I got that game. I got it. Yeah. I know what this is. And then in that article is like, and you build cities and stuff. And I'm like, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, what? Like I couldn't get my mind around it. And I swear it's the same article. But I'd never played this game. I was always aware of it, but I never played it because this was released at a time when, at least in my world, the divide between Nintendo and Super Nintendo was so emotional. Like, you had to decide if you were a Super Nintendo family. Like, are we good enough to make that jump? Like, or is our just residual Midwestern guilt going to hold us into this Nintendo family status for forever? So I'd never actually played Actraiser, but I was always aware of it being in the world. So to finally, it was just like, all right, here we go. I'm 8 again, or what? I'm 40 now. So like, this came out when I was 8 or 9, and it was like, we're gonna finally allow ourselves to be that Super Nintendo family, 30 odd years after the fact. And it was dope. It was amazing. It was like I everything I wanted it to be. I'm going through, I'm tossing fireballs, platformer, I got it. And now I'm like a cherub. I'm building this civilization. What's going on? Because the menu structure is weird. But like after I kind of got the hang of it, and it moves fast. Like I don't know if I've just gotten atrophied in my save anywhere you want life, but like I thought it was really hard. Like I kept on having to like, you get hit 3 times. That's kind of it for you, really. And or whatever. It's not hit points. It's a meter. Either way, you got to be on your toes, and then you can't just. There's an action element to building cities. Like you got to dodge and shoot bats out of the way while people are doing Civilization 2 stuff. I can see why this is your favorite game.
So I guess a little bit similar to Chris. I played the game shortly after it was released in '92. It was one of the very first Super Nintendo games that I had ever played, and the music just like blew me away. I mean, it sounded like an orchestra, and like Chris had mentioned earlier, it sounded like nothing else that I had heard in a video game. And I'm a big music guy, so ever since the NES days, if games had really good music, that would automatically attract me to the game. And honestly, it's one of the most important parts of a video game for me. So the music right away sucked me in. The platforming, I mean, it's adequate. It's fun, but the building the cities, that's what really hooked me. And I remember I think I borrowed the game from a friend, and I think I beat it like within 2 days. Like I just couldn't put it down. Just wanting to build the cities and just like, fill every little space with a building or some crops or something was just highly addictive. And like, it almost had like RPG elements to it, I guess. And I was big into RPGs at the time. So mixing that in with the action, it was just a great mix. The game felt a little bit short, but I guess that's what made it so easy to replay, is that you could play through it pretty quick. It doesn't take too long. So I played it over and over a lot as a kid.
Well, I came into it a little later. It was still Super Nintendo time. I guess as an introduction, Tom and Laci, DoYouNerd, thank you guys for having us on, because talking Actraiser is always a good time. But I was a huge fan of Illusion of Gaia. So anything that was put out by like Quintet and Enix, I was all over that. And the game, when I saw it, like everything about it, it had a very distinct style to it that reminded me a lot of Illusion of Gaia. And then when you play the game, there's actually like a ton of sound effects that they constantly reuse. Like they use it over and over, like in Soul Blazer and Terranigma as well. And I mean, I think that's hilarious. But the music in all of the stuff that they put out, the music is always so good. It's very orchestral. I mean, it's been covered multiple times already here. And then the gameplay, there was something so interesting to me about the fact that you had these side-scrolling action platforming moments, but then there was this RPG element from the Sim city buildingscape, and you would level up there and then carry over like the magic that you would learn there into the side-scrolling part. And I don't know, that was just, back then it was like unheard of to be mixing things in that way. And honestly, the kind of the heavy like religious overtones, that surprised me too, because being on a Nintendo system, I don't know, it's like the first time you see Mega Man say damn on a Super Nintendo game, and it's like, what? Nintendo allowed this? I couldn't believe that they had allowed all of this like religious overtone stuff in a game. It's like, I don't even know who Nintendo is anymore.
For me, I'd say that I think the game I was 3 when it came out, so I had no idea about it until I started collecting about 5 years ago, and I started watching like hidden gem videos and stuff, and everyone talked about Actraiser. and I didn't know if I would be interested in it because of the simulation aspect, the city building. It wasn't really my style of game, but I would like the platforming. So I put it off. And then Chris finally asked me to play it for one of my Request Tuesday streams. Finally sat down and played it, and I absolutely loved it. Like Wes said, the platforming's pretty average, I would say. I don't think there's anything too special about it. But the city building is a lot of fun. I think it's interesting how you build the city affects your max HP. Because it affects like how the town is built, like where the houses can go. And I think I read that there can only be a certain number of houses and bridges and stuff like that. And so if you have too many bridges, there's less houses, so you have less people and you have less HP. So I was glad I finally played it when Chris requested it, and then it was fun to revisit it. It was a lot easier the second time around. I think I struggled with it a lot more the first time.
This was my first time ever playing this game, and I purchased it probably 10 years ago. It was one of those games I think I found as a deal. I think I've been hesitant always to play this game for the reason that it's got the Enix name to it. And by that I mean because I'm not the biggest RPG fan, Square Enix and whatnot. It kind of scares me. I get hesitant to ever touch it. But I picked this up fairly cheap years and years and years ago. So this was my first time playing it. And I think my opinion changed over the game. In that, I mean, I started off being a fan of the platforming at the beginning part of the game, and ultimately by the end, becoming more a fan of the Sim City, building the town, the villages, way more of the part of the game. Where I think I started, I don't want to say dreading platforming, but I'm like, I really liked. I think when you could eventually take out the creatures and the villains, the demons of the land, I could like go get a refill like on my water or something like that, and just let them build the town over the time process, what it refills and everything. And I just relax. It was relaxing. It's what I look forward to every time beating Act 1 of each platformer. It's like, all right, now how do I clean this up here? But yeah, I enjoyed the game. It's not very long. I think I was thinking it's going to be like a 12-hour game. It wasn't. I think it was about maybe 3 hours total gameplay I probably put into it. Just learning the game and put it in there, and just played my original Super Nintendo copy. Yeah, I had a really good time playing this game. It was a great suggestion, Chris. It has like some Mega Man type elements of the game. By that I mean the boss rush at the very end, very much like that as well. Can you go any particular city in any order? I know you can kind of fly. Can you? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
So you can beat it in any order. I just did it from what I'm not gonna lie. I use a guide a lot, so I kind of read the suggestion like go here. Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah, in the manual it has like a suggested list to do it, but I've never done it in the order it suggests ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just one of those things where I'm like, play it safe. First time learning this game, we're gonna do it this order. So it has elements like Mega Man. I end up only using really one. No, I end up using two of the magical powers, the Stardust and the Fire. And that seemed to do the most wonders for boss fights. And, I think a great selling line of this game would have been like, hey, if you ever want to play as God, because there's these little great elements, especially, I wouldn't say, actually, this is not great. This is horrible. You're a horrible God. But there's like parts that are like, hey, I can't remember the name of essentially the water level off the top of my head right now. But hey, we need to get to that other side of that island. Can you help us out here? Sure. You cause an earthquake, you kill everybody in the city, and then they rebuild. So, yeah, you play God, and it's fun. So I don't know if anyone else had any experiences like that, but yeah, I had a great time playing this game.
They built that arc like I told them to. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So you are God.
Well, in the Japanese version of the game, he is referred to as God, and Tanzra is referred to as the devil.
Right.
And all the monster layers, instead of being that weird, looks like the Ultimate Warrior's facial makeup, it was like a Star of David or something.
Really?
Yeah, and when it came over here, Nintendo obviously is like, we don't want religion in our games, so they had Enix and Quintet slash that and change it.
they still left a lot in. I was surprised, but
Oh yeah, it's still there.
I
It's
couldn't
just
tell if
not
I
as
was, like,
overt.
Gabriel with the sword or what was going on. But then they kept calling me the master. So I'm like, kind of like I have a limited amount of power. I could fly around and stab guys for you if that's what. Oh, and also, but I also have like some dominion over nature depending on how many bats I couldn't quite figure it. So you are finger quotes God. Yeah. Okay. Pretty dope.
Like I said, you get to play as God. Everyone want to play as God?
Right.
Here's your chance.
Sprouts wings in the sequel.
Yeah. Well, does anyone have any experience with the sequel? I dabbled just a little bit on it with my EverDrive just to figure it out. And to me, it was a slower game. And I shouldn't say like the platforming isn't like Mega Man X is where I'm trying to compare it here. It doesn't seem like it's as fast or like that. So maybe that's why my falling off of the gameplay for the platforming kind of dropped me towards it, where I maybe wanted to go a little bit faster and I never could. But when I played with the sequel, it seemed even slower. Anyone else have any experience with the sequel at all? Because there was never a third game.
Yeah, well, as great as Chris is for recommending the first game to me, he also requested that I played the second one, and that one was not very fun. They took out the best part, the city building, and just made it the straight platforming. And like you said, the platforming's not even as good as the first one when it was just average in that one. So yeah, it's definitely not a very good game in my opinion.
So was everyone's opinion of the game the best part, the sim building? Anyone prefer the platforming in this game?
No, I liked. I felt exactly the same as you. I was just like, man, I can't wait to get through this Act 1 so I can start building stuff. And then you'd go to Act 2, and then immediately have to do Act 1 of the next one. So you'd have to do 2 platforming levels in a row. And I was just like, all right, let's get through this as quickly as possible so we can start building. Because that's what gets me hooked. So
there were some really interesting little monsters and stuff, and the way they do which sort of theme in the platform was like, I wonder what they're going to do this time. I'm angry I have to do it. I'm definitely eating the vegetables on this plate before I can get to the fun city building stuff, but better than a sharp stick in the eye, as my dad would say, but the city is where it really shines.
Isn't that why they took the city part out of the second game, though? Because everybody said they hated it?
I never heard that before.
Well, I was gonna say,
I blame Chris. He was the one who played it back in the day, so didn't tell him enough.
We didn't have email back then, so I couldn't have sent them a little thing to say, why did this happen like this? What's going on?
You could have wrote them a handwritten letter.
Crayon and back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nailed it.
More
How many
of
stamps
this,
that would
please.
take to send to Japan? Come on.
The city part was the part that you liked
That's the
watching
part I
best,
like,
though.
yeah.
You didn't really care about the platform.
No, because I don't like platforming games. I'm terrible at it. I don't know if my depth perception is off or something, but I never can platform. But I love playing SimCity style stuff. So watching that, it was fun to watch the little tiny huts, and then they get bigger, and then then you got like this like villa looking place, and I like watching the little naked chair fly around and stuff. Let's face it, if you didn't have any clothes on.
Yeah, angel booty all over the place.
You mentioned the whole little huts and everything, but another part of playing as God and destroying the cities is then a lot of the town is set up with just like the mud huts and whatnot. And you destroy it, and they've evolved. Then all the houses will get rebuilt a stronger, better leveled up house.
That was gnarly, right? Like, wow, this is. When did it come out? 91 or something? And you're like tackling these giant concepts. I'm like, I just wanted to hit the thing with the sword.
Hey, man, gentrification's been big for a long time, man.
Like your first response was, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
I know. I was like, why are you destroying the house? It's like, gotta make bigger ones.
Sacrifices must be made.
Right. I need more power. I got to destroy your houses.
Yeah, how can I protect you if I don't have 35 HP?
Yep, good point. Good point.
I know. I have to hurt you to protect you.
Or when the people are like groveling for you to please kill the monster, and they stop building, and I'm like, if you just build me 3 more houses, I'll be stronger, and I can kill this.
Yeah, go kill the monster for me. How about I kill you first?
This is all your fault. You made me do this.
Yes.
Oh, there's a plague here. I'm just gonna hit another earthquake here. We'll be fine. We don't have...
Yeah, when that plague hits and you just kind of go like, peace out, I'm going to the next section.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought of that. I wonder if that would work if you just killed off everyone that had the plague, except for like maybe 2 people. I wonder if would that eliminate the plague?
I might just go back and try that now. Thank you, Wes.
You know, one of the hidden extra lives in this game too is I believe you have to strike lightning down on the temple in the last level.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they're like, sorry, God, I think they say something along the line like, not God, but sorry, Master, we found this rock. We meant to tell you this hidden gem, but here you go, you can have it, kind of thing. So,
hide things from me.
Well, that's an interesting point. Like you touched on it a bit there. What I'm blanking in on it a little bit now, but what is the intro text? Like every time they want to, the villagers want to get your attention. It's like it may seem strange, but it's some. It's
this may seem unexpected.
This may seem which
we have something to tell you.
That
yeah, I think
100% means angry dad. Like I'm sorry,
Why are you bothering me?
Right, like we found this rock. You could have it, maybe, but they're just everyone's so scared of you already.
It's because they know you're going to send another earthquake.
Right.
Yeah. Don't smite us again, Lord.
You never know if your house is going to get electrocuted, so I'd kind of be a little afraid too. Like, is it my house today or your house? Plus,
you don't call ahead; you just roll in on a castle in the sky. Like, sup? I'm God now. Like, all right, I guess you are, man. You know, as long as you're up there, can we have some wheat and shit?
Yeah, that's true. That's another point too. Is like you can stop them right away. Like when they start planting and you put wheat over it, then everything going forward will be the wheat for that village. Mm-hmm. I thought I was just thinking of that one part in the game too, when you're building the city, where I think the guy goes wandering off on his own, and you find him and he's hurt, and then eventually I think you save him or clear off the land. I can't remember, but eventually he makes his way back to the palace, and they get the sorry God, can you cry on this guy? Because it's this dying wish, so you just got to do a little.
I gotta say, as an adult playing that part nowadays, I'm sitting there going, like, did Jesus just give him the golden shower?
Yeah.
You hope that's cry. Yeah, I hope those were tears. I really like though too. Part of the sim part is I love because they change it every town changes it here, like the snow level to like, hey, we'd like to start building, but there's a lot of snow here. Can you take care for that? And then you gotta go like, well, okay, well, dumb example here, but like, what melts the snow? All right, well, I'll put the sun element on here, and then
the wind.
Yeah, we need some wind here. But those creatures, I'll admit too, like when I first started playing the sim parts, and I think why I wasn't enjoying it versus like I was getting owned by those blue demons or the blue dragons, and they're burning my houses down. Yeah, that was I was getting frustrated with that, but I also thought I was gonna die. But you just don't die in that part when you're the little cherub guy. You just gotta wait it out, fly around until your HP refills itself, and then you can start attacking again, and then tell the people where they want you want them to build or take down these little monster layers. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this: as much as I hated the skull face guys, because they take a lot of damage unless
ground pound.
Yeah, but they helped me out with saving me with a couple of earthquakes where I didn't have like the HP for the earthquake to kill off the town, and they did it for me. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just chill here for a minute, and thanks for speeding up the time here for building the city.
Walk away.
Yeah,
Jesus knows an opportunity when he sees it.
Yeah. Did anyone else? Did you guys like? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what to say about these monster people. Basically, the bat ones are very simple. But did you guys like have? What were your feelings on these little creatures here that took over every town? Any thoughts on them?
Interesting point.
Pick people up and fly away with them.
Sound that they make.
Scream.
Well, it was such a revelation for me as I'm trying to figure out this game, and all of a sudden we cut from platformer to city builder, and I go, oh, all right, sweet, The Sims. I know how to play The Sims. I'm just going to build my stuff here, and I'm going to watch. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to watch this building being built. Oh, you're hitting me? Oh, you're going to make me work while the building is being built? You guys are assholes. And then I got really into it, but that was one of those like, oh, this game went another level, pardon the pun. It raised the act. Prepare for a lot of that.
This is why Brian's on this episode.
But it to your point though, that was an interesting, like, this is not something I've seen before, and it was made in the early 90s. Like, it's so unique.
Yeah, I think the first time I played it, I was kind of annoyed at the enemies. They hit me a lot. I didn't really know how to take care of them. And then you learn their patterns, how they fly and stuff. And I think the red guys, if you hit them, they fly up. Mm-hmm. And so, if you were just like straight down from them, you could just keep shooting them. I really disliked the skull guys on the first time playing it as well. But then I realized on this playthrough, you can actually glitch them off the screen. If you're at the edge of the screen and they come flying at you and you move out of the way, they go off the screen and they're gone. So that was interesting to learn. But yeah, this time I had no problem with them. I just had to get used to them. But it made the city building a little more interesting because you actually had to do stuff while they were building. Because, sometimes it would take time for them to build the city. And otherwise you just would have been sitting there, twiddling your thumbs and be kind of boring.
Yeah, the blue ones, I found if you just leave them alone, they just kind of sit there until you get near them. And once you get near them is when they start zipping around and all that. But I kind of laughed now when I was playing it, when the bats would pick up the people in the cities and carry them away. I'm sitting there going like, what are we in Defender now? So this is 3 games in one? But I would say the red demons are probably the ones that I like the least, because you have to kind of like be precisely on top of them or beneath them to get them. And I'm usually like 1 pixel off. And for me, it's just frustrating.
Actually, could you make that hack, Chris, where you put Defender in Actraiser? Like, that'd be.
I'll see what I could do.
Awesome.
Where's John Riggs? Contact yes. John
Riggs. Defend Razor.
I like that.
There we go. That's the shirt right there, man.
I know people.
So I know we talked a lot about the sim building, but I guess we should cover the platforming as well. Mm-hmm. Did you guys have a favorite level or one that you didn't like, one that stood out to you that's memorable for certain reasons, whether it be the music or the boss fight? Anyone have a particular favorite or least favorite?
I don't know if it's a favorite, but I really like the visuals to the Bloodpool Castle. There's just something about it that it screams Castlevania to you. And it's kind of nice. I guess the ambiance, just the setting of it and everything. I always really liked how it looked.
I was going to go to, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add to that, the Act 1 of Bloodpool. I really like the visuals of that one with the purple sky. I mean, visually, I guess I would say that's my favorite. I never really thought of it as having a favorite stage. Like, honestly, I'm trying to get through the platforming stages as quickly as possible so I can, move on to the buildings. So I can't really say I have a favorite. But the first stage, the music in it, I mean, the music alone, I could say that would be my favorite stage, but it's so basic because, it's teaching you how to play the game. The music's really the best part of it.
I'll second that. That might be my favorite track of the whole game. Is that Fillmore? The first, well, that might be my favorite track. That once that level fires up, you hear the bass kicking. It's tapping. I really enjoy that one.
It pulls you into the game.
Yep, it's a great one. Great one to really start off the game with you. I would say for a boss fight that I really, really enjoyed. I really like. Well, maybe it's because it was simple to me, and I'm not complaining. Hard games. I'll play hard games, but I did like that Viper boss that was in Mariah. Is that Mariah? I don't know.
Marana.
Thank you.
Which boss was that?
That's the one with the multiple arms. I don't know if it's supposed. It's got like a little snake head for a head, but it's got like.
Oh, is it the guy that shimmies?
It does the shimmies, and basically you just gotta
The guy
jump
that
on the
walks like an
platforms.
Egyptian,
Like the giant plant?
No. It's the one after that one.
where he
like
drops
the
the
statue
platforms
with all
for you
the
to jump
arms.
onto.
You jump on the it drops down the platform, drops down, and you get on top of it and you swipe at its head.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he shoots some lightning bolts at you that travel along the ground.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
And I'll always dread a snow level or an ice level and a
Mhm.
platformer.
At least you don't slip and slide around like most.
No.
They did a little bit of the I mean, I got a little bit of feel of Mega Man X. It's not like what I'm saying where you jump on the platform and slides down, but there's definitely that part, I believe, in Act 2 where you jump on the little ice and it carries us through and you have to eventually launch yourself to another platform.
Mhm.
That wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's just one of those things where actually I think of anything I died the most on that level. It was basically just because I fell to my death. Like I just didn't time it right, but it was only a couple times. It wasn't overly hair pulling out platforming challenging. Just a few times. So I think they that boss might be the most difficult in the game. I wouldn't say that. I think I had a harder time with the wheel on fire. That one like I get what I have to do, but that one always seemed to be like if I came into it with mid health, there's a couple bosses like that Viper boss. I felt like even if I had like 2 HP on it, I wasn't gonna sweat, fighting that thing. But like when you do that boss rush again and I get that wheel, I'm like, well, I'm taking a death here so I can start off fresh to take out this guy here. So in the Stardust power essentially owns almost all the bosses in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I only stuck to that in the flame. Did anyone try out any of the other powers in the game?
I mean,
yeah.
I tried some of the others, but Stardust is the way to go.
I've only found that the what's it called? The magical aura only really works on that wyvern boss, where the concentric circles kind of like go around your character and spread outwards. That one works really well on that boss, but it doesn't really work, as far as I can tell, anywhere else very well. But the magical aura, is that what the other one is? No, the magical light is kind of But I just usually stuck to the flame or the Stardust.
I think the Egyptian boss kind of surprised you. That almost felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I love anything Egyptian, and my sister actually was making fun of me because she goes, "Oh, look, it's King Tut," and I said, "No, that's just a pharaoh mask because it doesn't have the cobra and the crow or the falcon on top." And she's like, "You're a nerd that you know that."
Don't you nerd?
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the boss fight with Minotaurus, just because visually the whole level is gray except for his giant bright red cameo codpiece. Like, I'm sorry to go for the cheap dick joke, but like that's like if the music in the first level draws you in there, his fucking giant. Sorry, I'm sorry, it just came out. I don't know what you can say on your show. His fucking giant bright red codpiece is the only color on the screen. So you're just like, I guess I'm looking at Minotaur dick, like, for the next 30 seconds. Will I beat this guy? Like, what's that?
Did you make a necklace of it when you were done?
100%. Yeah, I'm no chump, but
See, it was there to distract you the whole time.
Yeah, well, I mean, relatively, he was a fairly easy boss, and what I thought was, for me, generally a tough game. But it made difficult, and wow, this game got meta, like, because they know you're just gonna follow that cow wang all across the screen. Psychological. I hadn't put that together.
Well, red is a color that attracts, so the focal point is straight there, right?
Because he's gray, and it's like a gray castle level, and your guy's orange-ish, but it's not like popping. Certainly not like I was after that fight. You know what I'm saying?
Can't have religious themes in your game, but you can have, boss junk flopping around.
Right.
That's not offensive.
No, it's not.
Hey, as long as he's uncircumcised. Okay.
I don't know, but to do those leaps he was doing, he had to be tucking that back.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think any of the levels themselves stood out. But I did appreciate all the different visuals. Like every level kind of had its own theme to it. so none of them really ran together. I liked that. As for bosses, they all I thought were relatively easy. Like you could figure out a pattern, except for the flame wheel. That's the only one I haven't really found a good pattern for, and so I just use the stardust or the fire and just take it out until the boss rush. Then the Minotaur gets a little bit harder. Then for some reason I seem to have a harder time jumping over his axes. But every other boss, I feel like I should be able to beat it without getting hit.
Yeah, like I don't say that any particular level is my favorite, but I would say the one that I have the most fun in is the first act of Fillmore, mostly because of the music. But it's fun that they even put like those little out of the way items for you to get if you really want to explore a little bit to kind of get you used to that. When it comes to the bosses, I tend to just like power through them. For the most part, I just stand there and take hits while I pound on them. And that seems to work the best strategy-wise for me, even in the boss rush at the end a little bit. But I want to say I think his name is Kali, who is the one that drops the platforms that you raise up. I think he's probably my favorite because he does have like a definite pattern to follow. And I can usually beat him without getting hit once. But yeah.
Well, that fire wheel guy definitely has a pattern because I used to be able to beat him without getting hit. That was years ago. But,
used to is the word. Used to.
But
they do increase in difficulty in that boss rush though, like big time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that the Minotaur though I felt was kind of a cheap boss because you almost just have to spam the attacks on him and just hope you can kill him before he kills you. Like, yeah, you can jump over the axes and stuff, but man, I like miss half the time. So, yeah. And then while I'm trying to jump, I could get 2 swings in on him, So I would find myself doing what Chris was saying that he does often is just hack away at him and, hope for the best.
Another boss that I kind of struggle with here was the plant boss.
Yeah.
Because he has a projectile. Well, I'm assuming he had a projectile. And then he sends his arm back and forth. And I get it. You had to go all the way back and forth. But I always end up taking a couple hits. Granted, I didn't realize at first that you can actually just go to its body and not receive any damage. It's the arm and the water you have to watch out for. And the projectile that with the little arms that come out. That one gave me a little bit of a challenge here, and that was an Act 1 boss, which I think were always deemed the easier of the boss fights, because the boss rush, the whole game is just the Act 2 bosses, and then Satan himself, or what was his name in this game? Tanzra. Yeah. There's another good point, because for that Tanzra fight, you have like the beam that comes out the sword, which only happened like one other time in the game for me. Was there something I missed with that, or did it say, "Hey, you get this for a limited time" or something like that? Or
no, you just get it at the start of that boss fight.
Could have been more useful in the rest of the game.
Yeah, it would have been way more interesting and useful in the rest of the game.
That would have been definitely helpful against the Wyvern guy.
It's like when you find that mode on your microwave that could have saved you like 1,000 times. Oh, there's a mode 4 set. That was here the whole time. Okay. Oh crap. Well, guess I'll use it now. But is my face red?
Garo was cooking a potato for 5 minutes in a microwave, and there was a button for it.
Right? Yeah, I know. I
didn't have to burn my popcorn all these years.
That is embarrassing. Well, I'll keep that around for Act 2 or whatever they called the sequel.
So we briefly touched on Fillmore's track for the game's music. Did you guys have any particular tracks that you really enjoyed that were in the game? Some stick out. Some in my opinion don't quite fit. Not every level hits, but there's a few that are absolutely stick out for me. But what are a few of your favorite tracks in this game?
Well, I'm going to say that other than Fillmore, which obviously is probably the best song on the game, and big reason for that is I think it sounds like Castlevania. But the tree level I thought had fantastic music, and then both boss themes are just excellent. I mean, when you hear that theme, you know you're about to fight something nasty. So those are the tracks that stick out the most for me. Those are my favorites.
I thought it was all gorgeous. What honestly really stuck out for me was the little stinger used in that amazing transition screen where you sort of like wind and resolute and like kind of crystallize down, which visually when you're moving, because this was an early Super Nintendo game, when you're moving from NES to Super Nintendo and you see that pretty quickly into when you pop in the cartridge, mind blown. But I think musically it stood out for me because it would have been such an opportunity to get away with some cheesy, just saw wave, like it's an effect essentially. But no, they built this orchestral swirling like gang, 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 gang. They didn't need to do that at all. Like it could have just been like a Wayne's World diddle-oo, diddle-oo, diddle-oo kind of thing because it's just transition. Like that's all anybody expects of it. But they were like, we're gonna stick to our theme here. So points to the Actraiser people for the transition theme.
Oh, they definitely went for a cinematic theme throughout the whole game, for sure. Yeah, no, when I was a 14-year-old, man, like that mode 7 and that whole I loved it every time. And I also like that when that map part, does the mode 7 spins around, it follows exactly what you've built on the land. So
that is cool. That's such a good call.
like that was blowing me away just the other day. I was just like, man, that's crazy.
Because you're used to like somebody just made this cinematic and everybody's gonna say, oh, this one's my stuff. That's my stuff. Yeah. And it was a big deal at the time for a home system.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Fillmore is definitely my favorite track because obvious. But the one that seems to like become a brainworm is the music when you're doing the building and the sim levels. It's just like real inconspicuous, it's just kind of there, but then I find myself just kind of humming it. Not only when I'm playing, but like a day later when I'm at work. It's real quiet and it's really embarrassing. But yeah, that one just always seems to stick with me, and I know there's been like people that have done like weird covers of it too out there, and it's awesome. Brian idea.
I don't know. It kind of got it. That's a good call because you're right. I can't. It's not in my mental 8-track at all. But you're to that end, like to what you're speaking to, of something you listen to for most of the game on repeat didn't get annoying once.
Yeah,
it was just
it's just real pleasant and it's just kind of there, but it's also
that Animal Crossing esque sort of like, okay, yeah, chilling.
You caught a fish. But yeah, that one really sticks to mind. And then like me being like a film and classical fan, score fan, I started noticing like little influences or stolen parts to music in there. Like when you first start fighting Tanzra, there's like this little, you think it's a Superman movie. And I'm sitting there going like, that sounds exactly like when you first see the Fortress of Solitude in like the second movie or whatever. I was like, wow, okay. And then like you brought up, Ryan, with the and credit music being the 20th Century Fox fanfare. It is, definitely. Yeah. And then there's also a part that reminds me of something that came out of Star Wars. I think it's in the North Wall level. There's something that's like taken right out of a Star Wars score.
I think they changed like one tiny thing. So
yeah. So the last part of it. Yeah.
So yes, because after I was done playing that, I had the Star Wars song stuck in my head.
Yeah, see? Like he steals from the best though. I'll give Yuzo Koshiro that credit.
Oh yeah, I mean he's done it before.
But I love the music when you're fighting Tanzra. It's just freaking epic as all hell. But I can't really say that. I mean, aside from maybe the dungeon levels where you get that thing, that's probably the only track I'm just kind of like on. But for the most part, the music I think is pretty good.
I think I know what you're talking about because I think when I'm listening to soundtrack, that's like one I always just skip over. Yeah. I'm always like, I'm like this. It doesn't fit. It's slowing me down here. It doesn't fit what's going on here.
So one thing that bugged me about that song and a few of the others is that some of the levels reused a lot of the music, and like the music was so good, I wanted to hear new stuff. Like, so the first 2 acts in Blood Pool is the same song. Then Act 1 of the Desert State. I always do it in order. That also used the same music from. So like you got 3 platforming stages in a row that uses the same theme, uses the same music, and then that cave theme is used I think 3 or 4 times. And like I wanted to hear new stuff, and then like but that cave theme, like you said, is like that's the track you skip or whatever. You know, that's the.
It doesn't have an energy level
song at the end of the album that you don't listen to.
It doesn't have quite the energy level as like the other ones tend to.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that was really, that's my only gripe with the music, is that I wish there was more.
I'll give the opening theme credit too. I think the opening theme is great when you fire up the game, and then it builds to what it builds to. And when I fired up the sequel, just to hear, it's nice that actually they kept it as like the theme. Like most time when it's a new game, you'll get a different theme, but I kind of like the fact that it's the theme to Actraiser. So games going forward, games that going forward would have this. This would be notoriously known for it. I think that's a banging track. But yeah, that's one of the ones that really stands out to me. Besides, like you said, Chris, point out the music from movies and whatnot. Or that really, I remember as soon as I beat the game, I'm like, this sounds awfully familiar. As soon as I saw the credits, I'm like, this really,
I used to use that music from the end credits as my theme music for my channel for a little while. And then when Cap finally played the game, he's like, I don't know where you got that from.
It was bugging me. I couldn't figure it out. And then there it was.
Yep.
Speaking of like sequels, would you rather have had like an Actraiser 3, or would you let's say Square Enix gives you the keys to the car here, Chris? Do you want a sequel? Do you want a remaster, a re-release, a remaster? Because I mean, they can always put it on a virtual console, but would you want something along the vein of maybe like a Wonder Boy 3? Would you, or where they can get updated art style, or where what's essentially the same game, but would you like that, or would you actually prefer like, hey, you know what, we're gonna take another stab at this and do like a Streets of Rage 4 kind of thing, but make it with Actraiser 3?
I mean, as much as I would love to see an Actraiser 3 and have them go back to the whole two play types way of the game working, I would also be really curious if they decided to like reboot it as like a modern day game and have it still have the 2 gameplay types and see what they could do with modern day gameplay styles and stuff like that. Like, would it be a 3D beat 'em up?
Hack and slash.
Yeah, like a hack and slash game, like God of War or something like that for the platforming. Would it be like that? And then what would the sim sections be like as a modern day game? Would it be like playing Skylines or something like that? So, I mean, that it interests me both ways. I think I talked about this in a video of my own, but I was like, I could go either way. I would like to see both. I mean, I would love to see a true Actraiser sequel that just completely ignores, the back alley abortion that I think is part 2. But at the same time, I would definitely, I mean, if they made a modern day reboot, I would definitely be down for it too. No questions asked. I mean, what was it? Square Enix a while back, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, sent out like a survey, and they were asking like the game fans, like, hey, which one of our properties that we don't really use anymore would you like to see make a comeback? As one of the questions. And I said Actraiser, definitely Actraiser, 100%. Cubed, do it. So yeah, I would love to see it come back in some way, in some form.
Like just combine 2 different, like it's the same thing where they combine like disparate gameplay styles, but it's 2 new styles, like we're going to combine like a fighting game and a fishing sim kind of,
and a rhythm game.
And and like Red Alert on Virtual Boy, just something random. And like Actraiser 3, boom.
Oh God.
Class Act. That's the name of it.
Well, you mentioned God of War then too. There's another what's called to be. I kind of would like them if they would ever make a sequel to explore more. Like, it feels like they touched on it here too with the gods or something like that. Like, there's the Pharaoh head in it. I kind of would like it more of a theme, maybe like Not saying it's like you're the ultimate Christianity, basically, you know, destroying all the other religions, but like maybe as a touch of kind of capitalize on a little bit of God of War there, maybe a 3D game like that, and maybe I don't know, maybe do different themes or religions or something. I don't know, something like that. But cool. Yeah, something like that would be
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, something. But I think I'm kind of with you, Chris. That I well, I don't know if what you're with there, but I think I kind of would like to see maybe an Actraiser 3 where it could even stick to a 2D platformer if you want to, but I think a 3D one, and then I don't know how they do it. I'm not a game guy or a game designer, but something along the line of that I think would be very interesting.
Yeah, they can basically do whatever they would want at this point. You know, with the way games work now, you can do whatever. It's not all about cartridge limitations or anything like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they have free reign to come up with any creative stuff they would want to, and I would love to see what they can come up with, as long as they got Yuzo Koshiro to come back and make the music.
Actraiser dating sim.
Yeah. Oh God, no! Actraiser brats.
Brats raising.
Oh no! Now you've gone too far.
The line must be drawn here.
All the properties. Wow.
So what you do is you kind of go with that God of War style, and you have that town building sim aspect, and you take a winterized area. You build this town, and you realize this is like a Norse area, and then they create you as their own god, and you become like this big, giant dragon head, and so on and so forth. You do the same with the Egyptian, and then at the end of the game, you learn that this new game is actually a prequel. And then the original Actraiser is sending the master to kill all of these gods that you created.
Ooh.
Can somebody get that down? That was awesome.
Hey, it's recorded.
It's recorded.
Okay.
Well, that was one of the things that always got me. Yeah, one of the things that always got me was like in the manual, like the story of it is like the Tanzra became too powerful, and the god had to like take a step back and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be over here and heal up for a while. I'll be back though when you guys need me, but I'm still here." I would love to see that played out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like what led up to him saying like, I need to take a vacation, guys. I'll be back in about 300 years.
I'm out.
Yeah, deuces. I'd like to see that played out, maybe in a prequel game. That'd be cool too. Like Actraiser 0. I mean, Yakuza can do it. Why not?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's I bring that up because we did a poll for the Cartridge Club here, and a sequel, Actraiser 3, was the most voted choice here, as opposed to a remake or remaster of the game. But yeah, those are some fantastic ideas for what to do here, and it seems like it'd be a good property to revive. Seeing as all there's sitting around probably looking for new ideas.
Yeah, it's beloved. Like I said, I hadn't played this heretofore. But it's in just in any when I was whatever you would get the ROM, like it's top 5 on everybody's most loved games. Like it's a cherished property. I think now is the time for a sequel sequel.
I'd be down.
I only want to point out though, if they do something like that, I want to keep more of the God element, the play as God. That should be like really the selling point, because honestly, I think that would be great. Where you're gonna have to kill some people. You're gonna have to, but like it's
you double down on it.
Yeah, it's basically you're gonna have to make the tough choices, right, to make a better play. I think that'd be another great element of the game, saying like you got to destroy the whole town, but it's for a reason, or it's
they got termites, got to do it.
Like with one of those like morality tree sort of things, like where you go down the
that was the whole Dante's Inferno type of thing. Like the high road or the low road,
and they're always super like,
and there's benefits for
eat
both.
His face or B start an orphanage. Like there's some middle ground here maybe somewhere, but like you could, that's why not, right? Like it's all about mashing styles together. That's a really good call, man.
Oh yeah, think about how they would evolve that concept in the third game too. That'd be an interesting way to go.
See, what I'd like to see in a sequel is I'd like them to keep the 2D platforming and the overhead, just obviously modernize it. But they could do so much with it. I mean, you could make the lands a lot bigger. But what I think would be cool is that you could maybe choose how you want to grow the town, how you decide, or your actions will determine how they evolve. And maybe that leads to like branching paths, or, like choose your own adventure style gameplay where, maybe if you evolve these people to like learn a trade or whatever, that it'll change like the outcome of the game. How you could teach, like other towns, maybe even unlock different like alternate 2D platforming stages, and like just give the game like a ton of replayability. I think something like that would be cool. I mean, basically just keep everything that made the first one great, just improve on it and just add to it.
Or even just have like the land that you have to like cultivate, have it be procedurally generated every time you play it. Like it's different every time.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see for the city building a little more choice instead of like just going over the land and then the town builds it, or the people build it how they want it, where I could choose like, okay, instead of a bridge over this water right here, I just want houses there, and I just want a bridge somewhere else so it like doesn't take up as much of my space. I want more people instead of more bridges. So I think that'd be kind of nice.
Yes,
as your god, I command you to build over here.
Yep.
I require a mention.
in my honor.
I require the ability to jump forward and swing my sword at the same time instead of just only up and down sword swinging.
And I want you to build on Sunday.
Yes.
You will
I
get
need
no
a Chick-fil-A
breaks.
to be right here.
That's funny.
Do you guys have any game like recommendations? Like if you liked Actraiser, this game would be great in that window, because apparently the sequel isn't that.
No.
I've heard people suggest that a similar game be Dark Cloud, because I think it's a lot of town building. I couldn't get into that game, but does anyone have any like similar recommendations that you would say, hey, if you like Actraiser, try this game, or this game took a lot of inspiration from Actraiser? Do you guys have any thoughts on any games like that?
I think that's a good point about Dark Cloud. I see a lot of similarities, but I'm the same. I really couldn't get into it. They didn't implement it well, and I feel like that would be kind of the first go-to for this kind of style. But yeah, nothing else is really jumping to my mind that matches the same kind of vibe as Actraiser.
It was done so well the first time, no one decided to copy it.
Mhm.
I mean, there's games that like have like similarities to the different play styles. Like if you want like a more in-depth version of the sim sections, I'd say play Populous on the Super Nintendo or Genesis. Though that's kind of similar, but not, but same kind of vibe. And like when it comes to like a side-scrolling platform, I just say play Castlevania 4.
Yeah.
The closest I could come to now, and this is like in the parking lot of the ballpark, would be North and South for the Nintendo, in terms of like we're cutting together this not city building but real-time strategy troop management with a side-scrolling action for some levels. Some level it's a little bit more war sim with like actiony elements either way, and then we're going to cut back to this real-time strategy game. But that's a pretty far jump even with all that from Actraiser, which speaks to the uniqueness of the title, that in a world where so many video games are like that game but purple, like this is really its own.
If I was going to say anything for the platforming wise, and I mentioned earlier, probably Mega Man X for the Super Nintendo, where I think the platforming is actually a little bit better, but it still has those like elements of choice. Granted, they kind of started up that platforming themselves, so Actraiser might have borrowed from Mega Man and the NES, but because the music's also really good in that game, and I don't know, I think the platform is just a little bit better. Same thing with the boss rush, so if you're a fan of that, which I normally am not, yeah, I would say maybe Mega Man X for platforming. I can't think of anything sim-wise, because this is like honestly the first time I've played a game that had this kind of element in it. So I'm looking for you guys to help me out here so I can find something else like that.
There's always SimCity.
Yeah, SimCity. There you go. There's another one.
It's such a unique game. There's nothing like it.
Yep. Which is why they need to make more.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't mine it for all they could back in the day.
So what you do is set up 2 Super Nintendos. You got Super Castlevania in this one. You got Populous in this one. You play this one for a stage, and then you jump over to.
Well, I mean,
There you go.
you don't
Now
want
gotta
Trevor Belmont designing a town like an Actraiser. Just bar, 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 burn down church, bar. Brothel bar.
Brothel. That's what Actraiser needed, more brothels.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, was there like a Sodom and Gomorrah-y sexy time town? Like, we would definitely see that in the sequel. This Actraiser 3, like, if you're God or like God Jr. or whatever, like some sort of angelish character defeating sin in the world, there would definitely be like, they couldn't call it Sodom and Gomorrah, but it'd be Godom and Samora or something type town that you have to like cleanse.
Don't forget, the angel's buttocks is out for all to see. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that
But
goes
it's a
on the
baby
rare
butt.
list of video game nudity available, at least in the U.S. Like that's the only other one I know about. Like you see the dude's butt in River City Ransom when he's taking a shower, and like the 2 shadows come together and go 13. You got it.
yeah,
And
sexy
now,
time.
Yeah, now we got some angelic baby tush.
Angel
At least I'm surprised they didn't change the sprite to put like a thong on him or something.
Well, yeah,
That
right. I
sounds
mean, if
or a diaper.
we can't be mad at Satan, but here, have all the baby ass you want.
Yeah.
If they put the thong on it, it would draw attention to it, just like it did with the Minotaur.
Oh
Like,
man.
that's the idea. So they're just like, we'll just leave it out there, and no one will notice because
Wow.
it's a baby.
It's
Yet
only a few.
another
It's only a
level.
few pixels. No one will notice.
Right.
all
No one will
saw it.
talk about it on a podcast.
Yeah,
30 years.
30 years later.
I'd like to reiterate June's game of the month will be Cuphead. If you're playing along or just want to discuss the game with us, make sure to let us know by using the hashtag Cartridge Club on whatever social media platform you frequent. For those of you wanting to get a head start on July's game of the month, we'll be playing Super Mario Galaxy. For those of you not aware, August's game is voted on and decided by our Patreon members, and this season they have voted in Mirror's Edge. If you're ever interested in being a guest on the show, please reach out to us. We're always looking forward to having new community members on to talk about the games they love. To those of you interested in supporting the club beyond a review on the podcast app of your choice, I'd like to mention that the club is entirely funded by pledges made from our members in our community. We are grateful to those supporters, and if you're interested in becoming one of them, please look at how you can do so at patreon.com/Cartridge Club. With that being said, that's the show, everyone. But before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to our guests for helping us out and coming on the show today. So let's start off with Brian. Where can we find you on the internet?
I am all over the place. So much stuff, but let's quickly plug the Gothsicles, new album out now, Animal Songs. Check that out at facebook.com/thegothsicles, thegothsicles.bandcamp.com, and now finally patreon.com/Gothsicles. Check out the podcast Industrial Nerds wherever you pick up podcasts, and check out the show Space Couch at facebook.com/Space Couch Show and twitch.tv/Space Couch Show.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. This was a lot of fun.
Wes, where can we find you on the internet?
The best place to find me is on YouTube at Nefarious Wes. Have a bunch of videos up on there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Nefarious_Wes, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Nefarious Wes. Oh, and I'm on Instagram now, so same thing. Nefarious Wes.
Thank you very much for helping us out and being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cap, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all Captain Algebra. I stream twice a week, Tuesdays, Fridays, and then every month I've been doing a monthly retro challenge where we pick a retro video game and I create a challenge for it, and you have a week to record a run, and then I do a results video, and those have been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. DoYouNerd, where can we find you to nerd?
We are on the standard social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, videos on YouTube, best place to find us. And we just do whatever we're into. So if we like it,
If
we nerd it.
Yeah. If we like it, we nerd it.
Red Fair videos, video game stuff, toys, whatever comes to mind. You never know what we're going to get because we don't know. We don't know what's next.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Fun.
And Chris, my co-host, where can we find you on the internet?
On YouTube, youtube.com/TheOldAssRetroGamer. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as TheOldAssRetroGamer. On Twitter, it's OARetroGamer because brevity. I also have 2 podcasts. I have the Movie Starting podcast, which is available on YouTube on iTunes, and I also have the Super Enabler Brothers podcast that I do with Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming over on his channel, which is Corpse_Flood Gaming.
Oh, I think in those underscores. Thanks for being here, and thanks for selecting this game because this was your game. You won the raffle from the charity stream, and you know the funny thing about it is you told me. I want to say it was either.
It was about 45 seconds.
Well, no, but you told me. I remember, like, when are you going to do this? I'm like, well, somewhere down the road we're going to probably do Actraiser. I can't remember. I came down and visited you in Chicago, and maybe it was one for that movies pop up. I can't remember. That was exactly it. Where you're like, that's the game. Now, if I had a choice, that'd be the game. And sure enough, I didn't even need to ask you, but I did when your name was raffled as the winner on the charity stream. I already knew what game was getting chosen. So,
Why that predictable?
Yeah. Yes, you are. As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at ItsRocketSauce, Instagram with the same handle, and you can see me on the Cartridge Club Discord. I'm always there. Yeah, if you want to find me, those are the places you can find me. And that being said, that's the show, everyone. CC Unite.
Whoop, whoop.
Do you notice he ended the podcast or the video on naked baby butts?
Yeah, it's a great way to end, right?
He's like, all right, and we're done.
All about the controversy here.
Why should this Saturday be any different?
Sex sells.
Wow.